knowledge is like doing snorkeling. You are in the surface, and the deeper you go, the more you know. In the class, we are going in the first levels of knowledge, which is to know about something, to understand. And when we go in the field course, we go into the deeper levels of knowledge, which is to analyze, to start comparing things, to assess, and then to evaluate. You need to connect these ideas into something tangible. You cannot do that if you don't have the previous levels.
That's the aim of this field trip. That's why this is so valuable, because you cannot teach this in a class. So the idea of the overall trip was to look at risk assessment from the perspective of applied ecology. And in my case, it was coastal geology, how we can use the geology events and what has happened in the past to predict and to inform the future. What would happen if we were to have a Denia situation like the one we unfortunately had very close by? If you are not prepared, you are more vulnerable. If you are not able to react, you are more vulnerable. The idea was to bring home this concept that you really need to know and understand from many perspectives, any problem, so that you can have the best solution or the best response.
Today in Denia, we are exploring coastal ecosystems with an emphasis on risk management. And today we're going to be exploring seagrass meadows, we're going to be snorkeling, we're going to go look for marine animals and seaweed.
We're going to measure the extent to which these species have been affected by rising sea temperatures or rising sea levels, so essentially climate change and anthropogenic pressures. We're studying the effect that humans have had on the environment, and indirectly through direct things like pollution or indirect things like climate change, how that affects the populations here, if there's risk of storms or like very intense climatological events like the one that happened in Valencia.
The structural species, which is the species that make the shape of the ecosystem, is this seagrass that is called Posidonia oceanica. Posidonia is the species that helps maintain the coast. So in between the roots accumulate all the sediment and help the sea coast to grow until we create land. One of the objectives at the end of the course for the students in applied ecology is to learn to do maps. Maps that have a biological meaning, not just to take a satellite image and put the coordinates, but to say that there is something there and there are some layers of information. You can only understand that if you see it. That's why it's so important to do fieldwork.
So that's why it's interesting to have so many students, because they all have different points of view and different experiences.
I think being able to learn like in the field, I think that's the best way to learn it, because being able to apply our knowledge in the real world and real situations, that's how we learn the best. And I think that all the class is really working together, and this is the best experience we could ever ask for.
That's the kind of person that you want working in your company, right? Somebody that will go like critically assess something. So having people that can incorporate different sources of information and come up with new ideas, new concepts, weave the concepts together to reach a product.
We've all come from different backgrounds and we're all learning different things. So some of our classes interact with each other, so it's amazing because we learn something from one student and something from another student, and then at the end of the day, we all come together and discuss what we've learned throughout the trip, and it's amazing.